Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Midgard Golf. And we're back out here today, back in the town where I'm currently living, in Colorado Springs, playing the old, well, kind of, sort of one of my home courses here, out at Pine Creek. Yeah, beautiful course, a touch overpriced, if I'm being honest, but yeah, if you're walking it like I'm doing this day, testing out a new camera there that I've got mounted to my push cart, kind of in preparation for Pops and my trip coming up here. And it's the Treklon camera, and well, little review for you here. If you were looking into it, if you've seen ads for it or whatnot, I wouldn't get it. It was kind of a vibe where I wanted to see if I could get away with it, but yeah. It flat out spazzed out on me on the ninth hole, so yeah, when we get to that hole, then yeah, you'll notice that the footage is actually from an old video where I was playing out here, but yeah, just to have something rolling while I narrate the hole, but yeah, and then every once in a while, didn't do it in this round, but while I was kind of playing with it later on after the round, actually, every once in a while it opens up and it just records everything in this green hue, so yeah, there's that. And then the audio is pretty atrocious, so which doesn't really matter for me since I mute these clips anyway. But anyhow, yeah, if you were looking at the Treklon camera, I would not recommend it. So anyway, it is what it is, though. We continue to hunt for gear this year, so I can walk a bunch of courses and film it at the same time. So anyway, if you're liking this content, of course, as always, we'd appreciate it if you threw us a like and a subscribe. We just crossed over 300 subscribers and did the hat giveaway for that on the Red Hawk video there. But, I mean, there'll be many more to come. At 400, I'm giving away another hat. And again, if this is your first time watching the channel, I don't sell those hats. I only give them away, and I only give them away to people who are either featured on the channel or who win one of those hat giveaways. So if you happen to end up with one, pretty rare hat indeed. And it is super quality. I mean, it's the hat I'm wearing in this video and pretty much all of them these days. And yeah, I mean, the thing just is showing no sign of wear and tear. It's just awesome. So Branded Bills is the company that makes them. And it's like their Elite Series, something or other. So anyway, on to the course here. So for this first hole, yep, little dogleg left par 4, and I'm just playing it from the whites today since I'm mainly out here to test the camera. But yeah, so 296 yards for me, tipping out at 404. And because of how the tee boxes are set up on this hole, and especially relative to those trees over off to the left that you can see there, it's actually kind of an easier hole from the tips, if I'm being honest there. Obviously, you got to take a longer stick from back there, but not all that long. I mean, I routinely hit a 6 or a 5 iron on this hole just to get it down the fairway. The closer up that you hit, unless you're playing all the way up from the forward tees, you're really going to have to shape that ball pretty hard to the left in order to get yourself a good ways down the fairway. After that, should be about 150 yard to I think the shortest approach shot I've ever had on this hole was 135, not playing from the tips and shaping a perfect draw around the trees or up and over them if you can skyjack it that fast. But yeah, it really kind of takes driver out of play. You've got that giant bunker right in front of the green there. Obviously, you don't want to be flirting with that. It's kind of a waste bunker too. The sand in there is kind of, not all that sandy. So it's kind of a tough shot to get out of that bunker. So I try to avoid that at all costs. I'd much rather fly this green over since you got plenty of backboard support rather than come up short and end up in that bunker. So if you're in between clubs for whatever yardage that you've got coming into this green, I would definitely take the bigger club and just, try to hit one smooth. And if you happen to catch one super pure and fly it, no worries. Trust me, you're in a better spot than you would be if you were in that big waste bunker down below. So, anyway, like I said, I've got the 5 iron in hand. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the second hole in our first par 5 of the day here. Playing for me at 462 yards. Crazy short for a par 5. I've definitely played par 4s that long. And longer still. But and then tipping out at 539. So pretty short no matter where you're playing it from. Now, if you look in the map in the top right-hand corner of the screen there, kind of just going down the right side. So I don't usually do this for these holes for, par 5s and par 4s. But just because the tips are kind of hidden all the way back there off to the right, and if you're playing this course for the first time and you happen to be tipping it out, you might be looking around, scratching your head like, where in the heck am I supposed to tee off from? Where are the tips at? These don't match my color. Aren't the golds that you're looking for? Yeah, they're back there. So you got to swing around all the way over there and find your tee box there. If you are playing from the tips, then you've got quite a bit of forced carry in order to make your way to the fairway. If you're playing from the tee box series over there to the left, then there's not a whole lot of forced carry to have to worry about, so no worries. Let's see here. So far as the good miss off the drive here, I would definitely say favor the left a little bit, just because the hillside over there is a little more friendly than the right. All the tree trouble on this hole is over there off to the right, so if you do happen to miss to the left, even if you have an atrocious lie, at least you'll have a clear shot for advancement, whereas that's not a guaranteed proposition if you happen to miss over there off to the right. For your second shot, I'm saying that if you make your way up to where I've kind of drawn the drives going to, you could definitely get there in two. Now, if you just don't have the yardage or the confidence to go for it in two, then bailing out to the right is going to put you in the best angle to get up on the green in regulation. But, I always go for this one in two. Of course, you got those couple of bunkers over there off to the left, not a problem. One way over there off to the right that's actually kind of gettable from my tee box. And then down the fairway, that is. And then that other bunker to the right of the green. My balls definitely landed in that bunker several times. Not a terrible bunker to play out of. So no worries if you happen to get up in that bunker there. If you're a decent bunker player at all, then you should have no problem getting out of that. So anyway, driver in hand, let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the third hole. Beautiful hole here. I love this hole here. So, hard dog leg right we're dealing with now. Bunch of bunker trouble on both sides of the fairway, right at the dog leg. Yeah, playing for me at 378, tipping out at 423. So, as you can see in the map there, I mean, the yellow line is always my risk line. Like, that's the way that I would take if I was trying to get aggressive, right? Which is pretty much the line that I take every time on this hole, just because the kind of native stuff over there off to the right side of the cart path is really not all that bad to play off of. I mean, I've been in that stuff plenty of times, screwing up the drive, taking the line over the sand trap there off to the right side of the fairway, and been just fine, and greened it from that stuff. I mean, several times, so no worries going over there that way. And if you're aiming over that bunker there, or those two bunkers, I should say, off to the right, and you happen to pull one a little bit, well, then you're just going to be in the fairway. Oh, no worries, right? So anyway, I like that line there, and I just try to crush it over that. But if you are just wanting to lay up and, put one to where you can see it right out into the middle of the fairway, that's a fine play. I would make sure that you don't drive it all the way through the fairway, because those bunkers back there off to the left side of the fairway can be a problem. So anyway, I would definitely shorten your club to make sure that you don't punch it all the way through the fairway there. If you're going for the cut, then I would probably take my line just left of the right side bunker there and then cut it off of that. And if you happen to cut it a little too much, then you'll just be in that kind of native stuff that I talked about earlier, off to the right. So anyway, and then so for your approach shot there, of course you got a couple of bunkers to deal with up there, but yeah, neither of those are that big of a concern. Yeah, and the green is kind of on a little bit of a plateau there, so volcano green to deal with. But once you get up there, the green's actually pretty receptive, kind of a bowlish shape. So no worries there. Anyway, driver in hand, I'm taking my risk line. I've actually been driving the ball pretty decently recently, so I'm just going to try to smash it all the way down there and give myself a short shot up onto the screen. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the fourth hole and our second and final par 5 for this first part of this two-part series out here at Pine Creek Golf Club in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So another modestly short one here, playing for me at 507 and tipping out at 573. So I guess from the tips that's pretty stout, but from the whites, yeah, still pretty short. So definitely gettable in two. But in order to do that, yeah, you kind of got to hit a smash drive, and you're probably going to want to get it to where the fairway actually narrows up quite a bit there, kind of sandwiched in between those bunkers. You're going to want to pass that gate in order to give yourself a yardage that's, kind of gettable, confidently gettable. If you don't, if you happen to end up in the wide part of the fairway there, no worries, right? It's just fine. It's a par 5. You could still pull a 3-wood or something like that and try to green it with that. And if you miss, hey, whatever, right? Or you could just lay up to the next section of fairway directly ahead of you just before the green and have just a nice little flip wedge to get up there in regulation and have yourself a nice look at birdie. What I always try to do on this hole, again, it's another left side miss hole for sure. Those houses on the right come up a lot faster on you than they do on the left. So I think the good line is to take it at those 2 bunkers that you can see off to the right side of the fairway in the first bunker there, or the first part of the fairway there, and then draw it off of that if you can. If you're hitting cuts, nothing wrong with aiming at that one lone bunker off to the left side of the fairway and then cutting it off that. Other than that, once you're making your approach, stay clear of those 2 bunkers over there off to the left side of the green, and you're home free. Plenty of backboard support there along the just to the left of the cart path that you can see up there by the green. So if you do happen to fly it a little bit, then you're probably going to have an awkward downhill chip because your ball tends to get hung up in that stuff, in that backboard. But yeah, you're going to be just fine so far as your ball being safe. So no worries. If you're in between clubs, depending on your angle, if you're having to clear the bunkers and challenge those from the left side, then I would definitely take the longer club and take advantage of the backboard. If you're coming from the right side, then I would take the shorter club. And if you happen to miss a little bit short, even miss the green a little bit short, yeah, no worries. Easy Texas wedge or a little bump and run chip to get up on the green and try to get up and down from there. So anyway, that's how I would strategize this hole. So, driver in hand, looking to punch one. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 5th hole in our first par 3 of the day here. Playing short for me at 146 yards and tipping out at 179. Now, if you are playing from the tips, it's quite an elevation drop to make your way down to the green there, so playing quite a bit shorter than that, probably more in the 165 category. Maybe 170. Maybe it's about a 9-10 yard drop, but anyway, I haven't lasered that slope from back there to actually give you that intel. But if you do have a laser rangefinder with slope on it, then you can get it for yourself. So I actually colored all the lines up here for the tee boxes, just to denote where they tend to be. So they actually tend to move the whites between those two tee boxes you can see that have the white lines drawn towards them there. So if you're playing there on a day, look for where the tee markers are, and that's where the tee box is that day. So you might be playing either of those angles if you happen to be playing the whites. Just FYI. So anyway, strategize the hole here. So you've got native fescue forced clearance to get up there to the green. If you happen to absolutely screw up your drive and end up in that stuff, it's no worries. Like it's really not all that treacherous down in there. It used to be, way back when, that used to be much taller grass in between you and the green there, but they've shaved it down for some reason. I don't know if they're growing it in and they're going to let that actually be grass and just have it be a, no forced carry par 3. I don't know. But I don't know what they're doing there. I guess I'd have to talk to the superintendent. But yeah, it's shaved down a lot more than it was once upon a time. So outside of that, I mean, you've got those 4 bunkers guarding it there. The worst one of which I'd say is that one to the left side of the green. The rest of them are actually pretty friendly. So if you happen to make it in any of those, shouldn't have much problem getting out of that and floating it somewhere safely on the green. The green does fall off pretty sharply towards that small patch of fairway just to the front there. So if you do happen to have a front pin placement and you come up just short of it with a fair amount of spin, then you're probably sucking it right back off the front of that green. Anywhere else on the green, pretty easy to hold it. So if I was you, I'd do it the Scotty way and just go at the yardage that centers you up to the middle of the green, and just eating it from there. Having the longer putt, unless you really don't care about Texas wedging it from the front of the green. If you do have the back pin placement, however, like we did this day, then center of the green's good, and taking the true distance all the way to the back right, that's good too. Like I said, those traps back there really aren't that bad. Just getting kind of in the high back of that left trap is really not a good situation. So I'd steer clear from that, no matter what you do. So I have the gap wedge in hand. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 6th hole here. Gorgeous par 4 here. Beautiful views from the tee box. I love this hole. So, anyway, 347 yards for me and 425 from the tip. So, pretty healthy par 4, but plays a lot shorter than the number, since pretty much all of the fairway off the drive there is downhill. I mean, you can screw up your drive pretty bad and still have a pretty decent approach shot up onto this green. You definitely want to hug the left side, that's for sure, obviously, because you've got that big old lake over there on the right. Even if you do happen to miss it to the right and you stay dry off the tee box, then, well, for your second shot, for your approach shot, now you're going to have to challenge that water and make sure you clear it in order to get up on the green. And, well, that's just never a fun situation. So I always just try to hug the left side of this hole. Just go like over that sand trap over there, that lone sand trap off to the left side of the fairway with a little bit of a cut. Or if I'm hitting draws on a day, then I'll just kind of go at the middle of the fairway and then draw it off of that and stay to the left, because the hole also kind of funnels towards that water too. So if you do kind of go right down the middle of the fairway and you hit a cut, there's a fair chance, especially if you hit a good strike, that your ball's going to roll all the way down into the water anyway. So even if you land in the fairway. So that's unfortunate. Of course, once you do get up to the green there, you've got those couple of bunkers off to the left and that one little tiny bunker there off to the right, just in front of the water. We're kind of sandwiched between the green and the water. And that's about all the trouble you got. That top bunker up there, off to the left there, the kind of second bunker, I really wouldn't want to be in that. That's really the only one that really kind of sucks. Just because now you got to hit kind of a greenside bunker shot over another bunker, right? Onto a green where you've got the lake in your backdrop. So I would try to stay out of that one at all costs. But the other bunkers, not a big deal. Yeah, and even the fairway bunker there, also not a big deal. Low lip, as you're looking at the green from there, you can hit whatever club you need to out of it. Not a big deal. So anyway, I've greened it from here, from all the way up in the fescue, off to the left of the cart path, no problem. So yeah. Anyway, left side friendly, right side not friendly. Keep that in mind. So I have the 2-iron here, actually, just because I'm trying to play one kind of safe and just keep it left. Because, well, I'm not going to try to drive this green, so all I'm thinking is keep the water out of play and keep it left, and that's it. So I'm hitting the 2-iron just in case I screw it up, and then I should stay short of the water anyway. So let's give it a rip and see what we can do.
That's my first hunt. That's my first birdie ever right there.
Whoa! Really?
Yep.
What do you have for clubs?
I have a 56 and a 50. 56?
Yeah. There's a giant gash in there.
Nice. Nice putt.
Ready?
Thank you.
Leave that in the video if you want. I think I got it on camera.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I already subscribed, so I'll go watch it. I'll have proof.
All right, ladies and gents, how about that first birdie from my playing partner there? And I'm embarrassed to say that I don't remember his name. I should have wrote it down or something. But yeah, very cool to get to, witness the glee of a young man making his first birdie in the game of golf. God, that's a special day. I still remember mine. So, yeah, very cool. It was actually on the course we did in the last video series there at Red Hawk in Sparks on number 17. So, yeah, that's where I scored my first birdie in my life many, 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 many moons ago. So, but anyway, congratulations to my playing partner there. Very cool. So yeah, this next hole, tricky little par 4 here, 347 yards for us, or for me, I should say, and 411 yards from the tips. The further back you go, the more of a elevation advantage that you get. So that's nice, kind of shortens up the hole for you, but it does you no favors because, I mean, through and through, this is a layup hole. I've never seen anybody go for this hole and actually have it turn out well. So, yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed, I would say, unless you just pull off the shot of your life, to end up in that really deep, really heavy, nasty arroyo there that's guarding the green. The entirety of the green in that little sliver of fairway that's there basically for nothing just before the green. So, anyway, yeah, I wouldn't go for it. I would lay up if I was you. Just because, well, that's the smart move. You've got a giant fairway to play with right in front of you, and there's just no reason to not hit it and then have yourself a wedge, you know, for shorter hitters, maybe a 9-iron, right, on into this green. Not a big deal. So where to put it in the fairway, though? I would definitely favor the right side of this fairway, right? Yeah, I would go, when you look out there and you see that tree towards the end of the fairway, right in the middle, yeah, I would go between that and the grouping of trees off to the right there, like you can see depicted up on the map. Yeah, if you happen to go left of that, then fair chance you're going to have to sky that tree in the middle in order to attack the green. I mean, it's just an obstruction in your way. It's not all that tall of a tree, so it's definitely doable easily, right? But, well, why have to deal with that if you don't have to, is what I say. So, anyway, I would stay to the right side of this fairway if you can. That said, if you are taking kind of a risky, longer club than you should on this tee shot here, then, well, now your best option is to go between the big bushy tree off to the left and the middle one. Because, as you can see there, there's a small sliver of kind of, you know, fairway length stuff. Well, there is some fairway length grass there, but it's really just like a push cart trail, so it's a, you know, literal, it's actually smaller than a hotel hallway. So anyway, there's that. And then the rest of it's rough length grass. So, but I mean, nice, you know, gentle grass to hit out of, and not the nasty craggy stuff that you're going to find in that arroyo down there. So anyway, if you are hitting that flavor of club for this tee shot, then you kind of have to go that way just to make sure you're going to be okay. After that, I mean, you can see you've got that one bunker there that's kind of in that awkward short left position of the green, and that's about it. Anything you hit on that green that's short or that spins hard, like from the middle, the green does kind of like drop shortly, or what's the word I'm looking for? It slopes. That's it. Jeez Louise, sharply from back to front. So yeah, I mean, you'll see when you get up there. But if you spin it too hard or if you come up short, then pretty good chance you're rolling right back off the front of that green. You might end up back in that arroyo for your third shot anyway. So that would suck. Make sure you got enough club to get it towards the back of the green if you know you tend to spin it hard. Or if you don't, then I would just go for the middle of it. But a front pin position and trying to get cute with it and stick it right close to that pin, boy, that's a losing proposition. I wouldn't even go for it if I was you. Probably going to end up having to chip a third shot, maybe out of that craggy stuff down in that arroyo there, and carding a big number. So, well, just don't do it. All right, I've got the 5-iron in hand, taking my own medicine, laying up here, and going off to that right side. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are heading off to the 8th hole in our final par 3 for this first part of this two-part series out here at Pine Creek Golf Club in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So, yeah, pretty little par 3 here for us. Playing for me at 145 yards and tipping out at a whopping 255 yards. So that tee box that you can see in the map there, all the way down there to the bottom left-hand corner of the map where I've got that, long red line drawn out to. Yep, that's it. I measured it out in Google Earth. I've actually never seen that tee box open. So the tips are usually that other, also modestly lengthy tee box there, kind of, just past the previous hole's green that you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. But, technically, that tee box all the way back there is the 255er. So if you really feel like just kicking yourself in the nuts and going all the way back there to play this par 3 at 255 yards, hey, be my guest. I'm not that guy, man. But, it is pretty seriously downhill from back there, so you got that going for you, but not that much downhill. It probably shaves it down to like maybe 230. If you're lucky. So, yeah. And at that, you've got zero room to miss here. If you miss off to the left of this hole, you're dead. I've been out there to the left in that just nasty foresty stuff twice. Once I carded a big number. The other time I actually pulled off a hero shot and greened it anyway. I still missed the putt and made a bogey, but I have greened it from that stuff. But boy, that's a bad losing proposition there. So anyway, no bunkers to deal with in this hole. You got that kind of grass bunker just to the front left of the green, but if that wasn't there, then if you happen to hit over there, your ball would probably kind of roll right over that cart path down there and on into the craggly stuff. So be thankful if your ball does happen to go there. But that said, so off to the right side, pretty serious sideboard support there. So that's nice. That's always where I try to miss on this hole, over there off to the right. On a day, especially if I'm, getting a little hooky, a little poley with my shots, I will just aim for that hill, right? And if I happen to hit it straight at it, then there's a fair chance I'm going to catch a good bounce off of it, and it's going to roll right down onto the green anyway. But, and if it does get hung up in there somewhere, no worries, not all that intimidating of a chip to come down that hill. Not a big deal. The green does slope again pretty hard from back to front. So if the pin is up front, unless you really don't care about hitting a Texas wedge, then I would just go for the middle of the green, especially if, again, just like the last hole, if you spin it hard. And you're probably going to suck it all the way back to the front of the green anyway. So yeah, do that. If you happen to go long, if the pin's all the way in the back or in the middle, then no worries. You've got a tiny bit of backboard support back there, and then just over that hill, it's just kind of more grass hill as you would otherwise make your way onto the next tee box there. And then, if you hit it really, really long, just like Skull One or Blade One or something right over the green, you could go so far as to end up in some native fescue stuff, but boy, you'd have to hit one like 50 yards over the green in order to do that. So anyway, wouldn't worry about that too much. So, 145, playing more like 135 for me on the laser. I've got the 52-degree wedge in hand. Let's give it a rip and see what we can do. All right, ladies and gents, and here we are at the ninth hole, and of course the final hole for this first part of this two-part series out here at Pine Creek. Now, this is the old footage that you're looking at here from actually a previous round. It just so happens that the course it was kind of similar temperature-wise to, me playing it this day. But anyway, this is not from today, just because this is the clip that the Treklan camera glitched out at. And also, by the way, only a 3-day warranty on the Treklan there. So if you have problems with it, boy, you better figure it out in the first 3 days. So anyway, again, product I would not recommend. But so anyway, enough griping about the new camera there. I'll probably end up just shoveling that and getting something better, sucking it up and spending the money. But anyhow, so this hole. Again, for me, this is another layup hole. I take the red line up in the map there, and I always just play it out into the fairway. Try to put a little bit of a draw on it. But that said, you really don't want too much draw, because right there where the red line and the yellow line kind of intersect there, that tree right there in the middle of the fairway, oh boy, if you get too close to that tree, then you're going to have to pull off a really awkward kind of low shot to stay under its branches in order to try to get up on this elevated green. So you're going to have to pull off a shot, or the type of shot, that you really don't want to have to try to pull off in order to green it in regulation if you get too close to it and behind it, right? So, there's that. You do want to draw off of the tee box here, but not too much of one. You might hit one out there and think, oh boy, that's going to be perfect. I wrapped it around that corner super tight. It's going to be great. No. You just screwed yourself. So take the longer shot. Stay away from that tree so that you can have a nice, easy, full swing up onto the screen. That's my advice. And then you've got that bunker just past that tree off to the right side of the fairway on the other side of the dog leg there. And then, 2 more bunkers, left, right, short of the green. Another one a little bit long there, and that's really all you're dealing with. Let's see here. What else wouldn't I do on this hole? Ooh, yeah, off the tee box there, if you are laying up, make sure that you actually lay up. Don't take like a risk club that you could go all the way through the fairway with, because if you do that, and you end up in that grouping of trees that you're staring down right in front of you, oh boy, that's going to end up being a big number for you too, especially if you attempt some kind of foolhardy, like hero shot out of those trees. Yeah, you're pretty much just going to have to bail it in order to try to get up and down for par, or, probably put one on the green, because it's a kind of a tricky shot to get on the green from over there and end up with a 2-putt bogey. So anyway, make sure you don't end up in those trees either. Take a short enough club if you're laying up, which I advise. Let's see here. And the 150 marker is actually right out there in front of you at the dog leg. So that's what you're going to have if you hit right in the middle of the fairway at the dog leg there. So not that bad. That said, I have once had a buddy who took it over, or just to the left actually, of the trees, the big trees to the left of the fairway there, and smashed it all the way over that, and actually had a really tight shot up onto this green, cranking it all the way over the demon tree in the middle of the fairway there, and the big kind of horseshoe bunker that's off to the right side of the fairway after the dog leg. And so he had a pretty decent shot. I've only seen it done once, and I would not recommend it, because we looked for his ball for like 10 minutes because he was sure it was there, and it sure enough was, but you will have no idea where your ball lands if you take that line, even if you do clear it. So anyway, I just wouldn't do it. For pace of play's sake, for your own sanity's sake, and for your peace of mind in knowing where your ball went. One more note off the tee there. So you do have a fairway bunker at the dog leg, way off to the right there. If you happen to end up in that, that's unfortunate. It's probably going to cost you a stroke, but because I doubt you're greening it from there. But you're just probably going to have to bail out, get it up there, and put yourself in a good position, still behind that big tree in the middle of the fairway there, to get up on the green. So yeah, unfortunate, but you got no business being over there. If you're a fader, slicer, you know who you are. just take the left line there and then, cut it over that. So, yeah, that's what I would recommend that you do. And, yeah, that's about it. It's a back to front green again, just like the last two. If you hit the front, again, it's a pretty steep slope coming off of that. So if you do happen to spin it right back off the front of that green back into the fairway, pretty good chance that you're going to roll like another 10, 15, maybe 20 yards all the way back down the fairway. So really try not to do that. Make sure you give yourself enough club. All right, and with that, yeah, I think I explained this hole away as best as I can. So again, I thank you guys for watching another episode of Golf with us here at Midgard Golf. And I hope you join us next week for the back nine. Incredible holes on the back nine here if you haven't seen them yet. So anyway, join us for that. And yeah, until next time, as always, I hope that you guys all have an absolutely wonderful day.